Okay, just a quick sort of look at the areas of your IT that you need to look at, just to keep it all running smoothly, basically. I mean, the pandemic has been very challenging for all businesses, but in many cases it's created some unexpected benefits as well. So I think by embracing new technology, businesses have been able to work flexibly as well as continue to meet the demands of their clients. So you know, good IT is, I think, hang on, why is that not? Yeah, so good IT, I think, is very integral to running your business successfully, and keeping it in good order just makes very good business sense. So firstly, we all use computers. We all get very frustrated if they're not working efficiently. So I just thought we'd run through some of the reasons why your computer might not be helping you work as productively as you'd like it to. So why is your computer running slowly? There can be lots of different issues for this. Maybe it's just an old computer. Maybe you're using very resource-heavy applications. It might be lack of memory, a fragmented system. Maybe you've got lack of space on your hard drive, or viruses, malware, or a failing hard drive. There are lots of reasons why it might be running slowly. So it's always worth getting it checked, because I don't think you realize how much it hampers your productivity. It goes without saying, fixing issues early is always a good idea. It's much more cost effective to deal with the issues while they're small before they escalate into much bigger problems. We all get error messages from time to time. Some people like to just get rid of them and get on with their work, but you should never ignore error messages. You know, if it says the hard drive's detecting an imminent failure, look at it, troubleshoot it, try and work out why it's saying that. Then obviously the blue screen of death, I expect everybody's had that in their life. It's basically a sign of a very serious problem, and it won't be resolved on its own. So you really do need to seek some support at that stage. If your computer, especially your laptop, is getting a bit hot, it's often due to a dusty fan or the cooling system not working properly. That definitely mustn't be ignored. If your computer overheats, it can melt things on the motherboard. It can cause really permanent damage to your computer. So get it serviced, or just clean out the fan, or whatever however you like to approach it. Glitching. If your computer's glitching, it's often there's a sign that something's wrong. It's often things you get used to. You just get used to the glitches on it, but don't ignore them. Things like if it's being unresponsive, you've got pop-up boxes, it's randomly crashing. They're all warning signs that your computer needs a service. And then finally, they're like cars. Computers need servicing regularly. So if you look after them, they will last longer. So either you have an annual service on your computer, or you use something like our Bronze plan, which is like a 24/7 service on your computer, but it just keeps it running more reliably. Right, okay, IT security. We're all, very conscious of IT security. There's lots of threats out there. Something that every good business needs to take very seriously. So backup. Obviously, if you ever have a security disaster, a good backup is the fastest way to recover. Any damage from malware can be quickly reversed if you can restore your data to a recent backup. So ensure your backup is also GDPR compliant, something like Microsoft 365, which I know a lot of you have already. Make sure your firewall is enabled and configured correctly. Your firewall basically only allows certain data to cross it. So if it's set up correctly, it will help protect you. If you want to check whether your firewall is enabled, there's a Defender icon in the bottom right of your Windows tray, and you can click on the little icon, and it will tell you whether your firewall is on or not. Antivirus software, as we know, there's an absolute proliferation of adware, spyware, and malware. So it's absolutely important that your your antivirus software is of good quality and is updated. Again, you can check whether your antivirus is up to date or not by going onto the Defender icon in the systems tray, which you find in the bottom right-hand corner of your computer, your Windows computer. Okay, probably already know this, but only install approved software. Do not install free software until you've inspected it, because it often comes with free packages, often come with things like spyware, adware, and things that can really damage your computer. If you're sure that you need an item of free software, ensure that you only install the aspects that you really require. Keeping software up to date, again, is another really important area of your security. Ensure that it's always running automatic updates and check that these are being carried out, because sometimes if you have a glitch on your computer, it can stop your updates from happening. So it's always worth checking on that. Keeping your software up to date is also helping you get the best out of your software. You get all the new features as well as being compliant with tax and other regulations. So yeah, something like our bronze plan, again, that's something that will keep all your software, your third-party software up to date. So if you don't want the hassle of doing that yourself, then there's software that can help do that for you. Okay, so another bit of software that most people use is Windows. So if you want to check whether your Windows software is up to date, just click on the Start button, choose Settings, and then Updates and Security. And then you can see whether it's all up to date or not. Passwords. Lots of people carry on using the same password for years and years, but passwords are the first line of defense from malicious attacks. So avoid the obvious and default passwords, which can obviously compromise your security. If you want a slightly more robust security system, you could always use one of the password management systems like LastPass or RoboForm, which are very easy to use and very, very good. Password theft is a very common reason for data breaches, so it's always worth complementing your password policy with multi-factor authentication, which identifies the user through, I don't know, a PIN number, mobile device, or something like that. Again, if security is important to you, it's always good to encrypt all your devices. So something like BitLocker, I don't know if you've heard of that, that does come automatically with Windows Pro and anything higher than that, but it will prevent anyone from accessing your data on your device if it gets lost or stolen. So a lot of us do take our laptops around with us to meetings and things, so it's really worth considering something like that. Permissions, often overlooked in companies. When people change positions, responsibility, leave a company, make sure that you know, all accounts and online accounts have been changed accordingly and disabled if a person leaves your company, because that's a, you know, an in route into your company data. And finally, just employing your, you know, training your staff to look after data security and train them on cyber awareness. So, you know, to make sure everybody's vigilant and ensure that everybody's aware of all the latest cyber security threats. So sort of fairly common sense stuff, but always worth being reminded about. Right, connectivity. Well, this you know, is better for some than others, isn't it? Depending on where you live in Norfolk, but it's always worth using a quality internet provider who has got, you know, reliable and high speed connections. You can always check your internet plan and establish what speed of service you subscribe to, and then you can work out whether that's sufficient for your needs. I don't know whether you probably all know this, but it's always worth positioning your router in a very central place in your house where you're using your, so things like your Wi-Fi strength and speed diminishes the further you are away from it. So think about where you put your router compared to where your study is or where you work. You can always use things like wired and wireless home plugs and wireless access points to provide faster wireless connections if needed. There are sort of other options. It's also worth noting that old routers can affect the speed and range. So if your router is more than 5 years old, it's probably worth thinking about upgrading. Rebooting your router and optimizing the router settings can also help boost your internet speed, so, and your wireless signal. So always, think about doing that if you're having poor connectivity. If you can, a hardwired Ethernet connection, as opposed to a wireless connection, is a reliable way to stay with a good internet connection. So if you can, that's always preferable, but not always possible for everybody. So, okay, well, we obviously sort of all talking about digital transformation, using your technology to help your business work better. So I think to survive, many businesses need to become more efficient, and using your technology is often the best way of doing that. So yeah, investing in the latest technology can transform the way you work, but investment in the wrong technologies can be expensive and very time consuming. It's always worth sort of aligning your IT with your business objectives, thinking what are your objectives, what technology do we need to achieve these? And it's always worth researching your options and maybe speaking to other people within your industry about what software, what technology they're using, because there's often other people with good ideas. And if necessary, seek an IT professional who can talk to you about what's available. Also, there's to be proactive about your IT. There's proactive monitoring and maintenance security software like our Bronze plan, which really helps maximize your IT systems. It's always doing updates for you. It's like a 24/7 service on your computer. It's got good IT security on it as well. So if you don't always want to be worrying about your IT and checking on it, this just runs in the background, so you don't have to think about it. So our Bronze plan is £11 a month, so it's not even very expensive if that's something you don't want to have to think about. And then obviously things like agile working, a lot of people are now using software that enables them to work from anywhere. Microsoft 365 is an excellent example of enabling people to work in the office, on the train, in the bath, in the back garden. It basically enables you to, providing you've got an internet connection, you can access your files from anywhere. So think about the software that you need to be able to work flexibly, which many of us have to do these days. And obviously, if you are using any software, it's always worth getting it configured properly, because it will work better if it's been configured correctly. A lot of people just take their email for granted, but actually it is really important, and there's lots of very good features on a good email system like Outlook that can help the way you work, whether it's coordinating diaries with colleagues, setting up room bookings, but also ensuring that it's very safe. So something like Outlook, it's a bit of a minefield, and when you're setting up the IT security. So if you are worried about setting it up yourself, it's always worth getting somebody who's got the knowledge to set up your IT security on your email, because it is quite complicated. Email encryption, again, if you send out any sensitive information via email, it is a risk. So it's always worth looking at different solutions, and obviously email encryption will really help provide that security. There's a long list of other things I could talk about, but I'm quite conscious of the time. So does anybody have any questions? We obviously do provide, if anybody wants us to overview their IT security, we're very happy to look at your systems and make any recommendations. So